in a context where we have some real challenges on our hands. Of course, we have the security challenges in the Sahel. We also have governance challenges in the region. We have the traditional issues of how to deepen regional integration. In particular, I am here as the chairman of the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Taskforce, which wants to refocus attention on the issue of free movement of goods and services, more free trade, more trading among us in West Africa. And my task force has been looking at the different corridors which have been established by West African countries, such as the Lagos-Abidjan corridor, the Dakar-Bamako corridor, Abidjan-Bamako, Accra-Ouagadougou. All these corridors must be seen to be working to allow West African people to move about freely and to engage in more trade. It should always be kept in mind that the original raison d'etre, the original reason for the establishment of ECOWAS was to promote regional trade and free movement of West Africans to take advantage of the huge potentials of the region for economic growth, economic prosperity, economic development.
ECOWAS lost focus of that?
I think to some extent we have not made the kind of progress which the West African people are expecting. There's still a lot of frustration by the populations in their movement around the sub-region. There are still a lot of road barriers and there are still a lot of difficulties in the way of the population to move around in the sub-region. There's still a lot of road barriers which are unauthorized. There's still a lot of delay at our boundaries. These boundaries, we always say, are artificial. They were created by colonial authorities. 60 years after independence, they are still there. The responsibility is now on us to remove these barriers and to allow for more trade among our people.
These are age-old long problems, and
that is true.
ECOWAS discusses it, but nothing changes.
Yes, so it is time now for action and not for more analysis and more meetings on these issues. If you look at other sub-regions, let me just give an example, the Southeast Asian countries, which sometimes we in Africa want to emulate. Intra-ASEAN trade is 65% and growing. In West Africa, it is still around 12 to 15%. Incidentally, when I was in ECOWAS, and we are looking at more than 10 years ago, it was the same level.
So nothing has changed.
Which is to say that in the past decade, nothing has changed. This is an issue that should be of concern to us, especially as we have so many young people who are unemployed. A region that trades among itself means that it produces more goods and services for trade. That means it creates job opportunities for its young people. That means that it puts itself in a more competitive position to trade even globally. So coming back to the basics of ECOWAS, trade among ourselves, for me, that will open so many doors, including even accelerating the process towards a common currency. Why do you need a common currency? You need a common currency to facilitate trade. So if you are not trading among yourselves, that is also maybe even a disincentive for working towards a common currency. So in short, the discussion that will be held today, tomorrow, during the summit, on refocusing attention also towards regional trade, free movement of goods and services, of persons, will help us to address the fundamental development challenges that we have which also will contribute towards the peace and stability of the sub-region.
Dr. Chambas, in the context of the current Russia-Ukraine crisis, which has affected economies in West Africa, and trade is of no exception, many of the items you consume in West Africa are imported, are brought from other countries, and that is a huge challenge. How would you navigate that when it comes to trade liberalization?
My response to this will just be that it is no longer tenable for us in Africa, for us in West Africa, to be depending so heavily on external countries for our agricultural needs. Russia and Ukraine cannot be the breadbasket of Africa. We have the potential within West Africa. Take a small example of what Nigeria has done so far in rice cultivation, when the focus was placed back on it and the right policy measures were taken. Each of our countries in West Africa has the potential to produce and to feed itself. So for me, this external crisis has only once again reminded us of what we ought to be doing to feed ourselves, to produce what we eat, and to produce even more to enhance our economic prospects.